Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. I've got 3 tales for you. To begin, I'll reference an article from Crypto Basics in which a leading attorney describes 6 impediments to a trial in the case of SEC v. Ripple. Fred Rispoli, an attorney and member of the XRP community, shares his thoughts. In addition, the SEC's regulatory demands have led to a crucial liquidity partner for Ripple on Demand discontinuing a certain service in the United States. Yes, a CCN partner Ripple a certain service. This company is OTL's cryptocurrency trading partner. If they were more assured, would the water not have rippled the same way? Alright, let's go in. In addition, the defense team for XFTX CEO Sam Bankman was recently given unlimited visits to the prison. But before we go any further, I should make it obvious that I have no resources or support of any kind. You should not buy or sell anything based on what I say, and I am not a legal or financial advisor. Just a hobbyist here that occasionally posts films to YouTube on various crypto-related topics. The trial between the SEC and Ripple executives may not go on for 6 reasons, as highlighted by attorney Fred Rispoli in the first post. Leading Bitcoin attorneys have been making predictions about the SEC v. Ripple trial's potential outcome. The next trial is intended to settle the SEC accusations against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen, 2 executives of Ripple. Garlinghouse and Larsen were specifically accused by the SEC of aiding and abetting Ripple and the distribution of XRP as an unregistered security. Despite the court's earlier summary ruling, the case against Ripple executives has been set for a jury trial, which is likely to begin in the second quarter of 2024. As for the availability for the proceed, the parties have previously informed the court. Okay, so it seems we have nothing to worry about in terms of Ripple per se. I mean, I get that the concept of appeal is on the horizon. But even if that's the truth, and I've already gone into great depth on why in other videos, I won't be doing so here. The SEC has already stated publicly in a legal brief, notice to Judge Torres, that they will not be seeking appeal of the decision that XRP itself is not a security, so even if there were an appeal and even if it were successful, that still wouldn't change anything. That means it would only affect certain XRP transactions on the Ripple platform. That settles the matter. Therefore, we should not be concerned about that. But then, there's the nonsense going on with these executives, which is mainly what attorney Fred Rispoli is harping on. And his words are as follows. Many people have seen many people conjecture. There will be no trial for Brad Garland and Chris Larsen at the Garland residence. In many different ways. The same goes for me. To begin with, it is glaringly evident that the intended goal of filing suit against those 2 was to force Ripple into a more vulnerable settlement position. Put the executives under this kind of pressure, and you'll see what I mean. Even while there are charges that may be filed at some point in the future against Brad and Chris and Ripple's are what they really wanted to go after, I assume the hope would have been that they wouldn't. They reasoned that maybe the corporation would back down if they went after the executives, but nothing of the sort happened. It was an offensive form of bullying that ultimately backfired. And they overcharged, which backfired for many of the same reasons we've been pointing out on this channel and in our community for the past 2.5 years. For the simple reason that the rules of the law and previously secret information would be made public. The bullies got what they deserved, for sure. And things didn't turn out too well for him in the end. Second, attorney Rispoli keeps going on about how he can just picture Hinman and Clayton testifying, or anyone from the SEC, and how he would have a field day trying to link them to their roles in the Trump administration before a jury in New York City. 3. Yeah. And so, naturally, consider that for a while. Remember that Trump, the last president, appointed Jay Clayton in charge of the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's safe to assume that New Yorkers will express less enthusiasm if you bring up the city around that time. I don't want to dive into the weeds of politics here. However, I do not think I have missed the point. That's all I'm trying to communicate. Third, he asks how recklessness can be proven with respect to institutional sales when those two can easily point to programmatic sales as evidence that they were told everything would be fine. Fourthly, the SEC has a lot less proof of domestic sales than it has of foreign sales. The majority of 5 SEC's trial team was recently reorganized. There are already 3 trials scheduled for the 6 members of SEC, and now they must immediately begin this one. It's not surprising that SEC plans to appeal. It has exhausted all of its leverage. Unless Judge Torres rules otherwise. SEC bet the house. What if this last-ditch effort fails? So, it will be intriguing to observe how the SEC attempts to organize their loss. In a lawsuit between 2 corporations, the government is not involved. The time has arrived to settle and end the costly legal battle. Simply put, the SEC has a limitless capacity to spend our money. Unfortunately, waiting until the last minute has its advantages. So, okay, I will concede that there are in fact budgets. I've been there, done that, you name it. As if they have an unlimited supply of cash, no. They can waste a limitless amount of money because they have budgets. They don't care because it's the government's money, not their own. Since they are preoccupied with satisfying their own inflated senses of self-importance, they are willing to disregard the consequences of their actions. As such, I believe the idea of what the attorney was probably stating is before me to evaluate the lawyers out there, despite the fact that I am not a lawyer. Right, I listened to one on YouTube. Now, take a look at this. Holy crap, Bitstamp. The United States' most important on-demand liquidity partner. They're doing something that they'll come to regret. The headline on Crypto Potato reads as follows. According to reports, on September 25, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Bitstamp, will stop allowing its U.S. customers to stake coins. Current regulatory dynamics and the state of the world's largest economy led to this conclusion. Bitstamp, the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, has announced that it will stop offering staking services to its American customers as of the end of September due to the SEC's negative stance on digital assets. Staking services involve pledging tokens to help validate transactions on the blockchain network in exchange for rewards. That's right, they want to limit your ability to make and save money. Unless you count what the SEC is doing as security, that is exactly what they are doing. But I'm pretty sure you don't, since you're not an SEC employee, right? That's why I can't take it any longer. I strongly disagree with whatever they say. Not quite, but other than pursuing actual scammers, the vast bulk of what they state is true in the realm of cryptocurrency. The things they say will keep us safe really limit our freedom and do harm. And obviously, we can see right through this. Bitstamp's apparent lack of objection stems from the fact that the discussion at hand has little to do with XRP. Therefore, there would be no effect on on-demand liquidity. However, this is yet another facet of crypto-related events in the United States that has not been decided legally. So the fighting goes on like this, it's not over. And yeah, it's quite evident that Gary is making his hardest possible. Pivot over to AI, he's already admitted in public that he sees the writing on the wall and realizes that going after crypto isn't going to be the major success for him that he thought it would be. Nonetheless, we must continue to address the ongoing asset theft attempts on crypto. The question is how much worse things will get. I don't think the tide is turning yet, but you never know. Take a look at it, I mean. Even more congressmen have spoken up after the Ripple case, which is encouraging, though I will say it's a little ridiculous that Congress acts like Congress is in charge. And it seems more like they responded to developments in the court case. When in power, members of Congress write the laws. It's encouraging that this issue has garnered support from members of both parties in Congress. We can only hope that this trend continues. But I'm simply saying that because those people in churches are the ones who cause trouble in the first place. I mean exactly what I'm saying. Such is not necessary in such form. This shouldn't be a factor in gauging political support, but it often is. That's the end consequence we've seen, and I realize how ridiculous that is, but hey, that's life. The fright of Sam Bateman is apparently not having the best time of his life, as I reported yesterday with great pleasure. And he's a monstrous bad guy who's ruined the lives of countless people everywhere. The headline reads, "In prison, Sam Bateman survived on bread and water before his release. Medication for the defensive position, and he's down to only bread and water because as a vegan, cucumbers are off limits." They don't seem to care about him much there. He has been fed an all-meat diet. That's the story as it's been told here. That was yesterday's news, I'm afraid. There is zero empathy from me for this guy. He's a truly evil man. I know he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But I'm just being practical here. There is sufficient evidence to conclude that he indeed did so. The correct things were done by him. Countless people have been damaged by him, right? Even though he is not guilty in a legal sense. Read the most recent headline, then. Please inform your legal team that former FTX CEO Sam Bateman has been released and is now allowed unlimited visits in prison. This is a brief update, so. Our lawyers are being given unrestricted access to the incarcerated Sam Bateman, the disgraced ex-CEO of FTX. And according to a recent court document, Judge Louis A. Kaplan has decided in favor of Bateman. In light of Fried's detention and unless otherwise ordered, his attorneys have unrestricted access to meet with him in jail up until the start of his trial in October, so long as they provide 40 or 48 hours notice in advance, quote, pending the court's resolution of the dispute between the government and the defendant concerning defendant's access to discovery materials. If the defendant accepts the offer made by the government in the final 3 paragraphs of the government's letter dated August 18, 2023, then the government and the U.S. United States Marshal Service will make those resources available to him. Starting on August 21, 2023, you can expect the provided lodgings. If the defendant wants to meet with his lawyer in the courthouse's holding cells, he must notify the prosecution and the USMs at least 48 hours in advance of the encounter. Okay, so the key takeaway there is that unless some changes were made, he wouldn't be able to do that, which would be counter to the rights that he is granted as a United States citizen, and this was brought up yesterday because this is the major concern that his attorneys were bringing up. And this is the attempt to ensure that you may meet with his legal team as much as is required, and that they have all the resources they need to organize a solid defense, which he should have the right to do without a doubt, so I'm all for it. It's not like Sandbank 3 is my favorite or anything. Simply said, I believe that to be the case. There must be no proper court system if we are to everyone, no matter how guilty. That implies the worst of us still have a right to the protections of the law. Therefore, I am pleased by that, though not because I wish for great things for him. But again, since I want the system to survive, because, overall, it is effective. Your district system was flawless, but that's not why everyone lives there. There is talk about judge being paid off to do this or that. And I was all, no, that's nonsensical conspiracies. Put a halt to that right now. We waited a while, and then we got some excellent news. That's because in most cases the expected outcome really occurs. Obviously, this has nothing in common with a banana republic. Let me explain. That is the most recent information. I don't claim to be a financial expert. Nothing I say should convince you to go out and buy anything for yourself. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.